I have been wanting to do my own knife designs for a very long time now. This year, not only do I have multiple knife designs in the works, but I have multiple folding knife designs in the works. While visiting Blade Show Atlanta this year, I will be revealing another knife design that I have in the works with a different knife company that I'm really excited about, and I know you guys are going to be excited to see. However, in this video, I have my very first folding pocket knife design prototype in hand, and it's OEM'd by JERAD. There will be some small changes made that I'll talk about here in just a moment, but this knife design that I'm going to have manufactured with JERAD is going to be in K390 steel. It'll have 4 different versions, 2 of which will be DLC coated. I can't think of another knife in K390 with DLC, especially with this blade geometry. K390 is my all-time favorite knife steel. I absolutely love it. It holds an insane edge for an incredible long time. And as you guys know, I'm a knife sharpener, so I love edges and you know how sharp edges can get. And K390 takes some of the sharpest edges I've ever experienced. DLC coating is a diamond-like coating, and it's even harder than the steel that it's going to be on. And that's why I love that stuff. It's the best coating you can put on anything, and it gets up to like 90 HRC. So my folding knife design is going to be a smidge over 8 inches overall, with a 3.6 inch sheep's foot blade in K390 at 90 thousandths thick. Did I say 90 thousandths? Yes, 90 thousandths thick. More like 90 thousandths thin. Plus, it has a deep hollow grind on it that gets down to 13 thousandths behind the edge. That is the sliciest K390 blade I can think of, especially from any production knife. This thing is an absolute laser beam, and the tip has extreme precision. The handle thickness is 0.45 inches, just under a ½ inch, and it's a little under an inch wide here and about 0.8 here. So this is like the perfect size to fit your hand. This is extremely comfortable. Plus, it has this finish that I presented to JERAD, and they executed it perfectly. I think it looks beautiful, and it leaves this nice tactile feel, beautiful texturing. The hardware is T10 hardware all the way around. They did put T8 on the pivot, but it will be T10. The clip is a titanium mill pocket clip. Same with the back spacer with this machining to leave it nice and jigged so it's nice and catchy. You can see inside here we have texturing, diamond pattern texturing with lots of access to the lock bar. And then we have this beautiful acoustic sound from every single one of them. And according to my research department, Kara, this sound actually is very similar to how a piano works.
Research department here, aka Jared's wife, Kara. Now, when Jared showed me this knife and the sound on it, I instantly realized that it works just like a piano does. And that's because, for those of you that don't know, I've been a pianist for about 24 years. Now, the way that a piano does work is there's a felt-tipped hammer attached to a metal string, and that hammer bangs really hard, causing the string to vibrate and make a note. And the knife works very similarly by opening really hard, causing the knife blade to hit against the stop pin, making the blade itself vibrate and cause, in this case, a beautiful ting.
Because in this case, once the blade hits the stop pin, it vibrates up the blade to this very thin hollow ground tip, and it vibrates. So that's where the sound is coming from on this knife. So it doesn't matter if you're holding the clip or anything, it's still going to have that beautiful sound. Now, and like I said, all of them have it. No exceptions. However, this one I do have some issues with. Remember, these are prototypes. It was perfect from the start, but I took it apart, took them all apart. And this one, for some reason, is having some issues. So, you know, it's okay. I'm just going to, you know, scrap it or use it for something else. But these three I will be sending out to people and letting them check it out. Let's talk about the action though, because the action is insane on this knife. We have a similar front flipper to what you see on the Olamic whippersnapper, because I think that that is one of the best front flippers. It makes it to where you can effortlessly use this front flipper and it never ever gets in the way. Even if your hands are all the way up, you never block it from going around. So I find that it has perfect jimping, perfect texturing all the way up and around. It's very easy to use no matter what direction. And even if you're not good at using a front flipper, you'll be able to use this one with no problems. Now, the whole deployment is, you know, it's not the best for the thumb flick, but you can do it. It's better to slow roll it, but for the reverse flick, it is amazing. Doesn't matter if you're holding low or if you're holding high, it works great. Now, I do not have lefty versions, and I want to because it actually does work well in the left hand. However, in order for me to do lefty options, we have to put an insert on this side and send out a separate pocket clip. We're negotiating that right now. Not sure if we'll be able to do that, but I would like to be able to offer that. You can see the drop is extremely, extremely smooth. Now, the clip will be extended. So I'm not happy with the clip's tension. I love that the lock bar cutouts on the inside. And, oh yeah, by the way, these are smooth underneath the clip. So this texturing is not under the clip. So you don't have to worry about it binding up or anything like that. However, the clip is a little too stubby. So I want to extend it to about right there, which will make it have a little less tension because it'll be longer. So hopefully that will help that. It does have internal stop pins. So, you know, that's my favorite way to see a stop pin. The plunge grind is done perfectly. It starts here and it ends about right there. So you have a lot of life to sharpen off, especially with this geometry. It's so thin that you could lay back the edge angle to 15 degrees per side and the bevel's not going to be barely any bigger than what you see right here. Now, I have already sharpened one of them up. I sharpened this one up with the members. So the members have already seen this. Now, it's sharpened up so good. And we're going to talk about the HRC and the colors and the changes here in 1 second. The knife sharpened up incredibly well. It took an insane level of sharpness, and this is at the lower HRC because of the DLC. So with DLC, anytime you put DLC on a knife, it lowers the HRC like 1 to 2 points. So 63 is the satin blades, the plain satin blades, I should say, and the DLC coated ones are going to be like 61, 62. There's not much I can do about it. It's just the way it goes with the DLC. So, you know, that's what it is. However, testing the ones with the DLC, like I said, it was amazing. It deburred really well. And as thin as this is going to be very easy to sharpen. Like I'm talking about very, very easy to sharpen. You could sharpen this K390 faster than you can probably sharpen most 8CR13 MOV blades because of the geometry. It's so thin. So you're going to have a very easy time stropping it, a very easy time honing it. Passing through materials is going to be like hot butter. Now, it's not going to be a tough knife. This is not something you're going to want to pry with or drop or anything like that. This is a precision king. This is a knife guy's knife. I don't think this is for beginners or anything like that. This is going to be something that real knife lovers are going to enjoy and love. You know, considering the materials, the blade steels, the geometry, and all of that. You know, I think somebody who is not used to having knives, especially like, you know, quality knives, would probably break it, you know, just because the geometry is so slicey, which I think is perfectly fine because this is something that will excel in the hands of anybody who loves sharpening and loves cutting performance and all of that. Now, colors and finishes. So, like I said, we'll have satin blades on all of them. All of them will have an up and down satin. So it's not going to be a vertical satin. It'll be an up and down satin. The DLC and the plain ones will. The color options, we're going to have this color option. This is one of them, all DLC with anodized hardware. However, I am going to have the hardware polished a little bit more and hopefully polished around the edges of the titanium handle on the anodized ones. So we're going to have one solid plain one. So this version will be plain. So satin blade with a deep satin finish, plain handle with the blue hardware, but except for it'll probably have a little bit more polished hardware, so the anode will be a little bit brighter. This one will be a reverse version of this. At least this is just right now. This is kind of subject to change, but right now the plan is to have this one a satin blade, so then it'll have satin hardware. And then the handle will be anodized blue. So it'll just be basically a reverse version of this. However, the handle will have, because it's going to be anodized blue, I'm thinking about having the edge polished around it so that it has a brighter blue around the edge. It'll kind of accent it. Now, like I said, this one will stay the same. And then this version, it's going to be a DLC one, so it'll be probably a solid DLC with just a different colored ano hardware. I did think about doing a reverse of this, and I'd love to hear you guys' feedback by doing a green handle with black hardware and or DLC hardware and a DLC blade, basically just the reverse of this. Or I could just do an anodized color, but that's what's in the works right now. That's like, you know, basically the way I think I'm going to do the color options. And like I said, as far as the changes goes, it's going to have a T10 pivot instead of T8, satin finish on the blade, a little bit longer clip, possibly polished hardware, you know, anything that's anodized, I guess you could say. And then other than that, I think that's really it. You know, I mean, this thing came out so well done. I'm so happy with it. It's phenomenal. It's everything I could have expected. Oh yeah, one other thing. Sorry, the NEEVESKNIVES logo. The NEEVESKNIVES logo. I'm gonna try to have a NEEVESKNIVES pivot made. So that logo on the pivot. Hopefully that's the way we'll do it, and then it'll be machined into the pivot. Hopefully that can happen. If not, I'll just have it right there, the same thing. I am very proud of this, so you know, I do want to have my logo on it. The K390 will be moved and it'll be very tiny right there, so it's not going to be right there and it's not going to be really big. So the inside of this does not have any machining, but it is, in my opinion, already really light. Like, this isn't any more lightweight than I would want or care about, I should say, but I don't want to add milling in there to make it any lighter. One, because I don't want it to feel cheap, but two, more importantly, I don't want to ruin the ting. So I know because of the ting, it's from the vibrations going up through the blade and out the tip. So I don't want any chances of messing that up, considering they all have it. If you like knife sharpening or anything EDC related, click on one of these videos to view more. One more. Yeah. Yeah. Hell.